Dear listener, settle into the quiet of this night and let us journey to a time when the world faced its greatest storm, a trial that tested the heart of humanity. This is the story of World War II, a tapestry woven from the dreams of children, the courage of soldiers, the kindness of strangers, and the hope that bloomed in the darkest hours. Picture a globe, its lands and seas alive, with stories' golden fields swaying in the breeze, cities aglow with lantern light, villages nestled under starry skies, all trembling on the edge of change. Close your eyes, let today's worries slip away, and let this gentle tale carry you through a world of sacrifice, resilience, and triumph, where every voice whispers of hope. Let us begin. Chapter 1. Roots of a restless world. Long before the war's first spark, the world was like a garden recovering from a bitter frost, its roots tangled with the scars of the past. The Great War of 1914 to 1918 had carved deep wounds across the earth trenches slicing through fields, towns silent where laughter once echoed, and families parted by loss. In Germany, the Treaty of Versailles, signed in 1919, hung heavy like a storm cloud, its demands stripping away land, wealth, and pride. Factories stood idle, their smokestacks cold, and bread lines wound through cobblestone streets. In Freiburg, a girl named Anna, just 9, watched her father Wilhelm knead dough by lamplight in their small bakery. His hands, dusted with flour, moved with care, but his eyes carried worry, reflecting the hardship of a nation humbled. Anna wrote in her diary, "Papa gives bread to our neighbors, even when we have little. He says it's what keeps us human." Her words, scratched in pencil, were a quiet hope. Like the roses blooming in their garden, despite the chill dot in Japan, a boy named Hiroshi sat on a tatami mat in Kyoto, listening to his grandfather's tales of samurai honor under cherry blossom trees. His father, Takeshi, a teacher, spoke of Japan's destiny to lead Asia, but his mother, Yumi, folded clothes with a furrowed brow, her thoughts on her son Kenji, who dreamed of joining the Navy. In 1931, Japan's armies marched into Manchuria, a land of rolling plains and quiet villages, claiming its coal and iron. Hiroshi, only 10, saw soldiers in the streets, their boots echoing, and wondered what far-off lands they sought. His sister, Imi, helped Yumi tend their small garden, their hands planting seeds as a silent prayer for peace. In Italy, Sophia walked through Rome's ancient streets, her basket heavy with market vegetables, tomatoes red as sunset, zucchini green as spring. Mussolini's speeches filled the air, promising a new Roman Empire to restore Italy's glory. Sophia's brother, Luca, a mechanic, polished his tools, dreaming of adventure, while Sophia tended her village's olive trees, their silver leaves, whispering of home. In 1935, Italian troops invaded Ethiopia, their boots stirring dust in ancient markets. Sophia's cousin Alem wrote from Addis Ababa, "The streets are quiet now, but we still sing." Her letters, carried across seas, were a thread of resilience in a fraying world. The Great Depression swept through like a cold fog, touching every corner. In America, Thomas, a farmer in Iowa, watched his fields turn to dust, his daughter Emily, helping her mother, Grace, mend clothes by candlelight. Thomas told stories of harvests past, his voice steady to keep Emily's spirits high. In England, Tommy ran through London's foggy streets, his mother, Clara, stitching coats to keep him warm. In France, Elise helped her father, Pierre, in their bakery, the scent of fresh bread a comfort against empty shelves. In Poland, Jan stood in his orchard, his hands on his plow, while his wife, Clara, prayed for their children, their voices soft in a candlelit home. In Denmark, Lars, a fisherman, mended nets by the sea, his wife, Ingrid, knitting scarves by the fire. In China, Li, a teacher, kept her school open under a thatched roof, her students singing songs of hope despite distant battles. Yet, in these hard times, people wove a quiet strength. In Germany, Anna's neighbors shared apples, their laughter, a defiance of hardship. In Japan, Yumi gave rice to a struggling family, her kindness a light. In America, Emily's town held dances under starlit skies, the music a reminder of joy. In England, Clara joined neighbors to knit socks for soldiers, their needles clicking in rhythm. In France, Pierre baked extra loaves for those in need, his bakery a haven. In Poland, Clara shared her garden's potatoes, her children playing. Nearby, their giggles a melody of hope. The world was restless, its threads tightening. In Spain, a civil war raged from 1936 to 1939, its battles a testing ground for German and Italian weapons. In China, Japan's invasion deepened, villages burning under a sorrowful sky. Lee's students drew pictures of peace, their crayons a quiet rebellion. In Europe, leaders tried appeasement, letting Germany annex Austria in 1938 and Czechoslovakia's Sudetenland, hoping to calm the storm. In a Dutch village, Marie tended her family's tulip garden, her hands in the soil, unaware of the war. Nearing. In Norway, a teacher named Eric led his students in songs, his church a sanctuary of hope. In India, Priya, a teacher under banyan trees, taught children of freedom, their dreams a spark in the dusk. The world was like a tapestry, its colors fading, but its threads strong. In Germany, Wilhelm spoke of a man named Adolf Hitler, whose voice promised strength, but hid plans for conquest. Anna wrote, "Papa's eyes look to a storm, but our roses still bloom." In Japan, Takeshi taught of empire, but Yumi whispered to Hiroshi, "Plant seeds for peace." In Italy, Sophia prayed under her olive trees, her heart with a lamb in Ethiopia. In Poland, Jan and Clara felt the earth shift, their orchard a haven. And in 1939, the first thread would snap, pulling the world into the storm. Chapter 2. The Fire of Woron. September 1st, 1939. The storm broke over Poland, its skies torn by the roar of war. German tanks rolled across the border, their engines a low growl against the dawn. Luftwaffe planes swept overhead, their shadows darkening fields of wheat and rye. In Warsaw, families woke to sirens, packing their lives into small bags as they fled down cobblestone streets. Anna, now 12, clutched her diary, her pencil trembling as she wrote, "The sky is loud with planes, but Mama says we'll find a safe place." She hid with her family in a cellar, the scent of earth mixing with fear, their whispers a fragile shield against the chaos above. Poland fought bravely, its cavalry charging against tanks, their sabers gleaming in a final stand of an older world. Jan, now a soldier, joined the fight, his rifle heavy in his calloused hands. He carried a photograph of Clara and their children, promising to return to their orchard, where apple blossoms scented the air. His letters home spoke of muddy fields, cold nights under starry skies, and the kindness of a stranger who shared a blanket by a campfire. "We fight for our home," he wrote, "and for the children who will play in our fields again." In a village near Krakow, Clara prayed by candlelight, her children asleep, dreaming of their father's strong arms. Britain and France declared war on September 3rd, their voices firm but hearts heavy, knowing the road would be long. Yet Poland stood alone, its cities crumbling under relentless assaults. By late September, the Soviet Union, bound by the secret Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, claimed eastern Poland, dividing the nation like a torn cloth. Jan's unit fought on, there, courage a flicker in the growing dark, but Poland fell, its people scattered like leaves in a bitter wind. In London, families gathered around radios, their faces lit by the glow. Tommy, 10, was sent to the countryside, his small suitcase packed with a book of fairy tales and a scarf from Clara. She stayed in London, sewing uniforms for soldiers, her prayers a steady rhythm against the city's hum. In France, Elise helped. Pierre baked bread for local soldiers, their oven a small defiance against the fear creeping through their village. In America, Emily, now a young teacher, read news of Poland to her students, her voice calm as she spoke of courage and far-off lands. In Iowa, Thomas listened by his radio, his hands clasped with grace, wondering if the war would touch their fields. A foamy war settled over Western Europe, a tense quiet where soldiers waited behind France's Maginot Line, a chain of forts, meant to hold the enemy. In a Dutch village, Marie tended her tulips, her hands steady in the soil, unaware of the storm's approach. Her mother, Anna, knitted blankets, their home a haven of routine. In Denmark, Lars mended his fishing nets. By the sea, Ingrid's lantern glowing in their cottage window. In Norway, Eric's students sang in his church, their voices a shield against distant news. But the quiet shattered in spring 1940. Germany's blitzkrieg struck with lightning speed. Denmark fell in a day, its harbors claimed for German ships. Norway followed, its fjords echoing with the tread of boots. Lars watched from his boat, his heart heavy as he rowed home to Ingrid. The Netherlands saw tanks crush fields of windmills, and Marie's family hid in their attic, their tulips trampled below. Belgium fell next, its canals no barrier to the enemy's advance. France, with its grand boulevards and ancient castles, stood ready, but Germany's tanks bypassed the Maginot Line, racing through the Ardennes forest dot in a French village near Reims. Elise watched German troops march past her bakery, her heart pounding like a drum. Pierre, a veteran of the Great War, hid food in their cellar for neighbors, his whispers a vow of resistance. "We'll keep our spirit alive," he told Elise, his hands kneading dough as if shaping hope itself. By June, Paris fell, its cafes silent under German flags, its lights dimmed. Elise and Pierre joined quiet gatherings, their voices plotting defiance in shadowed rooms. Yet hope sailed across the sea at Dunkirk, where fishermen, sailors, and ordinary folk braved bombs to rescue over 330,000 soldiers. Thomas, the Iowa farmer, would have understood the courage of a fisherman named William, who rowed through waves, his small boat a lifeline. William thought of his son, Charlie, waiting in England, and wrote, "I row for all our boys, to bring them home to their mothers." In Poland, Jan's letters grew sparse, but Clara kept his photograph by her bedside, her prayers a steady rhythm. In Japan, Kenji joined the Navy, his letters to Hiroshi full of tales of endless seas and distant stars. The world's tapestry tightened, its threads binding lives across continents in a shared struggle. Chapter 3. A global shadow. By late 1940, the war's shadow stretched across the globe, its weight felt in every heart. In Britain, the Battle of Britain raged, German planes bombing London in the Blitz. Families huddled in underground shelters, their voices singing softly to calm frightened children. Tommy, safe in the countryside, lay in a field, watching RAF planes duel above, their trails like ribbons in a twilight sky. A pilot named James, barely 20, flew through storms of fire, his letters to his sister Lily full of hope. "Stars guide me home each night." The Royal Air Force's courage thwarted Germany's invasion plans, keeping Britain a beacon of defiance. In a London hospital, Mary, a nurse, worked through the Blitz, her hands bandaging wounds, her smile a comfort to soldiers. She wrote to her brother, David, a sailor, "The bombs fall, but we light candles in the dark." Her words echoed the spirit of thousands, a vow to endure. Clara, Tommy's mother, expanded her victory garden, its flowers and vegetables shared. With neighbors, a symbol of resilience. Tommy helped, his small hands digging in the soil, dreaming of a world without sirens dot across the world. Japan's ambitions grew, their armies seizing Malaya, Singapore, and the Dutch East Indies for oil and rubber. In China, Lee kept her school open, teaching under a thatched roof, her lessons a rebellion against fear. Her students, including a girl named May, drew pictures of peace, their crayons tracing rivers and mountains under a hopeful sky. In the Philippines, Juan, a farmer, shared rice with neighbors, their laughter a shield against distant battles. In Indonesia, Sari helped her mother weave baskets, their hands moving in rhythm as they whispered of freedom under palm trees. On December 7, 1941, the war became truly global. Japanese planes struck Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, their bombs shattering a quiet Sunday morning. American ships burned in the harbor, but the nation woke. In Iowa, Thomas heard the news on his radio. Emily by his side, her hands clasped with grace. Emily gathered her students, her voice trembling as she spoke of courage. We'll stand together, no matter how far the war reaches. The United States declared war, its thread joining the global tapestry, binding continents in a shared fate. In Germany, Anna, now a teenager, worked in a factory, her hands assembling parts she didn't understand. She hid her diary, its pages full of dreams. I see our roses in my sleep, blooming despite the noise. In Japan, Kenji sailed with the Navy, his letters to Hiroshi speaking of islands and endless seas. In Poland, Clara's prayers grew fervent, her children clinging to stories of Jan's orchard. In France, Elise and Pierre's resistance grew, hiding messages in loaves of bread. Their bakery, a hub of whispered plans. In Norway, Lars began smuggling refugees to Sweden, his boat gliding through misty waters. Ingrid lit a lantern each night, her heart with Lars on the sea. In Denmark, Eric's church became a sanctuary, his sermons of love a quiet rebellion. In Holland, Marie's family hid Jewish neighbors, their tulip garden a cover for courage. Her mother, Anna, sewed false papers, her needle a weapon of hope. In India, Priya students under banyan trees wrote of independence, their dreams a spark against colonial shadows. The war touched every corner. In Australia, a nurse named Ellen cared for wounded soldiers, her letters to her pilot brother Tom full of hope. In Canada, a teacher named Margaret organized drives for supplies, her students knitting socks for soldiers. In Russia, a farmer named Mikhail shared his harvest with neighbors, his barn a shelter against the cold. The world was a tapestry of struggle, its threads woven with courage, each life a story of defiance against the growing shadow. Chapter 4. Sparks in the Darkness. By 1942, the war seemed an endless night, but sparks of hope began to glow, like stars breaking through clouds. In the Pacific, the Battle of Midway became a turning point. American sailors sinking 4 Japanese carriers under a vast, starlit sea. John, a pilot from Ohio, flew through clouds, his thoughts on his family's farm. His letters spoke of ocean sunrises, a reminder of beauty amid chaos. I fly for the fields we'll walk again. In America, Emily's students cheered the news, their voices a chorus of hope in a small schoolhouse. In Russia, Stalingrad became a frozen crucible, its streets buried in snow. Soviet soldiers, wrapped in coats, fought house by house. Tanya, a young sniper, moved silently, her aim saving lives. She thought of her mother, baking bread in a distant village, and vowed to fight on. Irina, a nurse in a Stalingrad hospital, sang lullabies to wounded soldiers, her voice a thread of comfort in the cold. By February 1943, the Soviets encircled Germany's army, their victory a beacon that lit the Eastern Front. Tanya wrote to her mother, "We've turned the tide, and I'll come home to your bread." In North Africa, The Battle of El Alamein saw British and American troops push back Germany's cunning commander, Rommel. William, a British soldier, wrote to his sister, "The desert sands are endless, but so is our hope." His letters, carried across the sea, were read by lamplight in a London flat. In Guadalcanal's jungles, David, an American Marine, shared stories with a local boy named Koa, their laughter a bridge across cultures. Koa's family offered coconuts, their kindness. A light in the jungle. In occupied lands, resistance grew like roots beneath the earth. In France, Pierre hid messages in bread, his bakery a hub of defiance. Elise, now a young woman, carried secrets through moonlit streets, her courage a quiet fire. In Poland, Maria's secret school flourished in a cellar, her student Stefan, dreaming of poetry. He wrote, "Our words will outlast the war." In Norway, Lars smuggled more refugees, his boat a whisper on the water. Ingrid's lantern burned each night, a guide for his return. In Holland, Marie's family hid Jewish neighbors, their tulip garden a cover. Anna, her mother, taught Marie to sew false papers, their work a rebellion. In Yugoslavia, Anna, a partisan, carried messages through mountains, her campfire songs rising under starry skies. In Denmark, Eric's church sheltered families, his sermons of love a defiance. In Italy, Sophia's village hid Allied soldiers, her olive trees a sanctuary. Luca, her son, carried messages, his steps light but bold, home fronts shone with effort. In England, Clara's victory garden fed neighbors, Tommy helping with pride. In America, Emily organized scrap metal drives, her students' laughter echoing. In Japan, Aiko taught poetry, her students planting trees as a promise of spring. In China, Lee's students painted peace, their murals glowing under a thatched roof. In India, Priya's students wrote of freedom, their banyan tree a symbol of hope. These sparks, like countless stars, lit the path toward a turning tide. Chapter 5. The rising tide in 1943, the war's tide swelled, hope rising like a river after rain. In Russia, the Battle of Kursk saw the largest tank battle in history. Soviet machines clashing with German steel under a summer sky. Ivan, a mechanic, from a village near Moscow, repaired tanks, his hands stained with oil, his heart alight with pride. His sister Nadia tended their family's garden, her letters full of hope. "We'll see the fields bloom again." Evan fixed a tank under a starry night, his wrench a tool of victory. The Soviet triumph broke Germany's armored strength, opening a path west. Tanya, now leading a small unit, taught others to move through forests, her thoughts on her mother's. Warm bread. In the Mediterranean, Allied troops landed in Sicily, their ships rocking in turquoise waves. Marco, a Sicilian fisherman, ferried supplies, his small boat cutting through the sea. His daughter, Rosa, drew pictures of fishing boats under starry skies, her crayons tracing dreams of peace. The Allies swept through Sicily, their boots stirring dust on ancient roads. Italy surrendered in September, Mussolini's fall a crack in the Axis armor. But German forces held northern Italy, turning olive groves into battlegrounds. Sofia hid Allied soldiers in her Tuscan village, her son Luca carrying messages through vineyards, his courage a spark in the dusk. In Rome, a priest named Giovanni sheltered refugees in his church, his ancient arches a haven of hope. In the Pacific, American forces island hopped, reclaiming lands step by step. In the Solomon Islands, Clara, a nurse from Oregon, tended wounded soldiers in a jungle hospital, her lullabies a comfort. Her patients, young men far from home, dreamed of farms and cities, their hearts lifted by her songs. In New Guinea, Tala, a local guide, led Americans through dense jungles, his stories of ancestors a bond. Tala's sister Lani wove mats for soldiers, her hands a quiet contribution. In the Philippines, Rosa, a young woman, joined guerrillas, her courage a light in the jungle. She carried supplies through rice fields, her thoughts on her family's farm. Resistance grew stronger. In Yugoslavia, Anna's partisan groups sang of freedom, their campfires glowing. In Denmark, Lars smuggled families to Sweden, his boat gliding through mist. Ingrid knitted scarves for refugees, her lantern a guide. In France, Elise sabotaged German plans, slipping through shadows. Pierre baked for the resistance, each loaf a secret defiance. In Poland, Maria's students wrote essays. Of freedom, Stefan's poetry a vow to rebuild. In Holland, Marie's family hid more refugees, their tulips a symbol of hope. Anna sewed false papers, her needle a weapon. Home fronts pulsed with effort. In England, Tommy, now 14, built airfields, his hands calloused. Clara's garden fed neighbors, its vegetables a pride. In America, Emily organized war bond drives, her students' letters a bridge to soldiers. In Japan, Aiko's students planted trees, their hope a rebellion. In China, Li's school grew, her students singing of peace. In India, Priya taught under banyan trees, her students dreaming of independence. In Australia, Ellen cared for soldiers, her letters to Tom full of hope. In Canada, Margaret's students knitted for the front, their hands steady. These efforts, like threads, wove the world toward victory. Chapter 6. The Dawn of Liberation. In 1944, liberation's dawn broke, a light piercing years of shadow. On June 6th, D-Day, Allied troops landed on Normandy's beaches, their boats swaying in waves. Robert, an American from Ohio, stepped onto the shore, a letter from his sweetheart, Lily, folded against his heart. Come home to our garden. He fought through hedgerows and villages, greeted by French families with flowers. Claire, a village girl near Cannes, offered him bread, her smile, a reminder of home. Her father, Henry, shared wine from his cellar, his stories of resistance a quiet pride in Paris. Elise, now a seasoned resistance leader, guided Allied troops through hidden paths, her knowledge a weapon. Pierre baked loaves for the liberators, his bakery a hub of joy. By August, Paris was free, its bells ringing through streets alive with celebration. Elise met Jacques, a soldier, their eyes meeting over a cafe table, a promise of a future beyond war. Pierre poured coffee, sharing tales of the resistance, his voice soft but proud. In the east, Soviet armies surged westward, their tanks rolling through snow-dusted plains. Lena, once a forest fugitive, led partisans, her messages saving lives. In a liberated village near Minsk, she saw children play, their laughter a melody. Mikhail shared his harvest, his barn a shelter for those freed. In Poland, Maria's students emerged from their cellar, Stefan's poems now read in sunlight. A farmer named Carol rebuilt his farm, his children playing under open skies, their giggles a song of hope. In the Pacific, Iwo Jima and Okinawa saw fierce battles under tropical skies. David, a Marine, wrote, "The stars guide us forward." His family in California lit candles, their prayers crossing the ocean. In the Philippines, Juan's rice fields supported guerrillas, Rosa fighting beside them. Her brother Miguel carried messages, his courage a spark. In Australia, Ellen's hospital bustled, her care a lifeline. Her brother Tom flew over the Pacific, his letters full of hope. Technology advanced. In England, Sarah, a codebreaker at Bletchley Park, unraveled German plans, her desk a battlefield of wits. In America, Rosie built planes, her co-workers singing. In Germany, Anna's diary dreamed of freedom. I'll see roses again. In Japan, Kenji's letters spoke of islands, his heart longing for home. In Russia, Ivan's sister Nadia sewed uniforms, her hands steady. Resistance flourished. In Norway, Lars smuggled refugees. Ingrid's lantern, a guide. In Yugoslavia, Anna's songs echoed in mountain valleys. In Italy, Sophia's village hid soldiers, Luca teaching freedom. In Holland, Marie's tulips covered courage, Anna sewing false papers. In France, Claire's school hid resistance plans. In Denmark, Eric's church sheltered families, his sermons of love a rebellion. In India, Priya's students wrote of independence, their banyan tree a symbol. Home fronts shone. In England, Tommy's airfields grew, Clara's garden a pride. In America, Emily's students wrote to soldiers. In Japan, Aiko's trees bloomed. In China, Lee's murals sang of peace. In Canada, Margaret's students knitted for the front. These efforts wove a tapestry of liberation, each thread a promise of dawn. Chapter 7. The war's climax, early 1945. The war reached its climax, its end a bittersweet horizon. In Europe, Soviet and American soldiers met at the Elbe River, their hands clasped amid ruined towns. Berlin fell, its streets silent under defeat. On May 8th, Victory in Europe Day, joy erupted. Clara and Tommy danced in London's Trafalgar Square, their garden's flowers pinned to their coats. In Paris, Elise and Jacques celebrated, their love a new beginning. Pierre poured coffee for soldiers, his bakery alive with laughter. In Poland, Jan returned to his orchard, his children running to meet him, their arms around his neck, a promise kept. Clara's prayers, long whispered by candlelight, were answered in their embrace. In a liberated village, Lena helped rebuild, children laughing again. Mikhail's barn hosted reunions, his harvest shared with all. Maria's students read poetry. In sunlight, Stefan's words vowing a new Poland. Karol's farm flourished, his family whole under open skies. In the Pacific, the war lingered, its end marked by somber light. In August, atomic bombs fell on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, their flash a moment that stilled the world. Aiko, in a Japanese town, gathered her students amid ruins, her voice steady. We'll rebuild with hope. Taro, her student, planted a cherry tree, its roots a vow for peace. On September 2nd, Japan surrendered aboard the USS Missouri, the sea calm under a quiet sky. Kenji returned to Hiroshi, their embrace under cherry blossoms, a silent healing. The war's cost was heavy, millions gone, cities in ashes, the Holocaust a shadow of profound loss, its tragedy honored in quiet remembrance. In Germany, Anna, now free, walked through Freiburg, her diary open to a new page. The flags are gone, and we can dream again. She helped neighbors lift fallen stones, their hands joining in renewal. In France, Pierre rebuilt his bakery, his bread shared. With all, Elise and Jacques planned a family, their home a haven of hope. Home fronts celebrated. In England, Clara's garden became a park, Tommy helping as a mechanic. In America, Emily's students wrote of peace, their classroom a beacon. In Japan, Aiko and Taro tended their cherry tree, its blossoms a promise. In China, Lee's murals glowed, her students singing. In the Philippines, Juan's fields hosted feasts, Rosa and Miguel joining neighbors. In Australia, Ellen cared for returning soldiers, her letters to Tom joyful. In Canada, Margaret's students cheered the war's end, their knitting now gifts for peace. The United Nations formed, a vow to seek peace. Trials in Nuremberg and Tokyo sought justice, ensuring the guilty faced their deeds. In Italy, Sophia's village rebuilt, Luca teaching under olive trees. In Holland, Marie's tulips became a park, Anna's courage a legend. In Norway, Lars and Ingrid welcomed refugees, their cottage a haven. These moments, small and large, were the war's true Victory, a world knitting itself back together with kindness. Chapter 8. Rebuilding a world. As the war ended, the world began to rebuild, its heart mending stitch by stitch. In Germany, Anna studied to become a teacher, her diary a lesson of hope shared with her students. She planted roses in her school's garden, their petals a reminder of her childhood dreams. Wilhelm rebuilt his bakery, its oven warming Freiburg streets once more. Neighbors gathered, their stories of survival. In New Bonn. In Poland, Jan's orchard flourished, his children growing tall like the apple trees. Clara baked pies, their scent filling their home with joy. Maria's students, led by Stefan, published a book of poems, their words a testament to resilience. Stefan, now a young poet, wrote of a Poland reborn, his verses read in village squares. Carol's farm became a community hub, his harvest shared with neighbors, rebuilding their lives. In France, Elise and Jacques married, their home filled with laughter and the scent of Pierre's bread. Pierre expanded his bakery, its tables a place for stories of the resistance. Claire, the village girl, became a teacher, her classroom a haven for children dreaming of peace. Henry, her father, tended his vineyard, his wine shared at village. Feasts. In Japan, Hiroshi and Aiko tended their cherry tree, its blossoms shading their town. Taro, now an artist, painted murals of peace, his brushstrokes a promise to his community. Takeshi, Hiroshi's father, wrote books on unity, his lessons taught in schools across Japan. Yumi planted a garden, her hands nurturing hope as Kenji rebuilt their home. In the Philippines, Juan's rice fields flourished, his family hosting festivals that united neighbors. Rosa and Miguel taught children to farm, their lessons a legacy of resilience. In China, Li's school grew, her students' murals covering village walls with images of rivers and mountains. May, her student, became a teacher, her voice carrying Li's hope forward. In England, Clara's garden became a village park where children played under oaks. Tommy, now a mechanic, repaired bicycles, his hands building a peaceful world. In America, Emily became a principal, her school a beacon of learning. Her students wrote to children in Europe and Asia, their letters a bridge across oceans. In Australia, Ellen cared for veterans, her hospital a place of healing. Tom, her brother, returned to fly civilian planes, his skies now peaceful. In Holland, Marie's tulip garden became a park, her family's courage a legend. Anna taught sewing, her needle now stitching clothes for peace. In Norway, Lars and Ingrid's cottage welcomed all, their lantern a symbol of hope. In Denmark, Eric's church hosted community gatherings, his sermons of love enduring. In Yugoslavia, Aina became a storyteller, her tales of partisans inspiring new generations. In India, Kriya's students marched for independence, their banyan tree a symbol of freedom. The United Nations grew, a garden where nations planted seeds of peace. Trials ensured justice, their lessons a vow to prevent darkness. These efforts, like threads, wove a new world, each act a step toward healing. Chapter 9. A New Dawn. The post-war world dawned with hope, its people building anew. In Germany, Anna's school became a center of learning, her students planting gardens across Freiburg. Wilhelm's bakery hosted town gatherings, his bread, symbol of community. In Poland, Jan and Clara's orchard drew visitors, their apples shared at festivals. Stefan's poetry spread, his words inspiring schools across Poland. Maria taught teachers, her lessons of freedom a legacy. Carol's farm grew, his children dreaming of new horizons. In France, Elise and Jacques welcomed a daughter, their home, a haven of joy. Pierre's bakery became a village landmark, his stories of resistance told to wide-eyed children. Claire's classroom buzzed with students, her lessons of peace a light. Henry's vineyard thrived, his wine a toast to freedom. In Japan, Hiroshi studied engineering, his hands building bridges. Aiko's school taught unity, her cherry tree a town treasure. Taro's murals covered schools, his art a beacon. Takeshi's books spread hope, Yumi's garden a community pride. Kenji became a fisherman, his boat gliding under peaceful skies. In the Philippines, Juan's festivals grew, Rosa and Miguel teaching sustainable farming. In China, Li's murals became a village pride, May's students carrying her legacy. In England, Clara's Park hosted fairs, Tommy teaching mechanics to youth. In America, Emily's school expanded, her students' letters uniting nations. In Australia, Ellen and Tom opened a clinic, their care a gift to veterans. In Holland, Marie studied botany, her tulip park a tourist haven. Anna's sewing classes taught women skills for peace. In Norway, Lars and Ingrid mentored youth, their cottage a hub. In Denmark, Eric's church hosted peace talks, his voice enduring. In Yugoslavia, Ana's stories became books, her courage a legend. In India, Priya's students led independence efforts, their dreams reality. The United Nations fostered peace, its halls echoing with hope. Schools, hospitals, and farms rebuilt, each a testament to resilience. The world's heartbeat, stronger, its people united by the war's lessons. Chapter 10, A Legacy of Light, 36 minutes and 0 seconds to 41 minutes and 40 seconds. As decades passed, the war's legacy shone, a light carried in every heart. Anna's roses bloomed across Germany, her teaching inspiring generations. Wilhelm's bakery passed to his son, its bread, a symbol of unity. In Poland, Jan's orchard became a heritage site, Clara's pies a tradition. Stefan's poetry graced libraries, Maria's lessons shaping educators. Karl's farm fed communities, his children leading with kindness. In France, Elise and Jacques' daughter became a writer, her stories of her parents' courage a legacy. Pierre's bakery thrived, Claire's school a beacon. Henry's vineyard hosted peace gatherings, his wine a symbol of joy. In Japan, Hiroshi's bridges spanned rivers, Aiko's cherry tree a monument. Taro's art inspired artists, Takashi's books taught unity, Yumi's garden a haven. Kenji's fishing boat sailed peaceful seas. In the Philippines, Juan's festivals united towns, Rosa and Miguel's farm a model. In China, Li's murals drew visitors, May's teaching a legacy. In England, Clara's Park was a national treasure, Tommy's mechanics school thriving. In America, Emily's students led peace initiatives, their letters uniting the world. In Australia, Ellen and Tom's clinic grew, their care a gift. In Holland, Marie's tulip park bloomed, Anna's sewing a craft. In Norway, Lars and Ingrid's mentorship shaped leaders. In Denmark, Eric's church stood strong, Ana's stories books in Yugoslavia. In India, Priya's students built a free nation, their banyan tree, a monument. The United Nations endured, its peace efforts a vow. The war taught that humanity could shine through Anna's roses, Jan's orchard, Elise's courage, Hiroshi's bridges. As you drift to sleep, dear listener, carry these stories. Picture a world where kindness heals, courage blooms, and hearts work for peace. Let the stars remind you of those who lit the way. Sleep well and dream of a brighter tomorrow.